Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're looking at something truly fascinating happening in the tech world right now. We are unpacking a comprehensive, multi-layered blueprint for a decentralized tech counteroffensive. Look, if you've been following the tension between massive, closed-source AI monopolies and the open-source community, you know it's a constant tug-of-war. But what we're looking at today, it's a massive strategic shift. It's an actual roadmap for how decentralized developers can structurally push back.
So the big question we're tackling today is this. How do open source communities move beyond just, complaining about walled gardens and instead take real action to actively dismantle closed corporate monopolies? For a long time, the dynamic has felt incredibly one-sided, right? You've got these massive corporations holding all the compute and all the data. But the open source community is figuring out that they actually have unique structural advantages if they coordinate their efforts.
And getting there requires a fundamental shift. We're moving away from ineffective online shouting. Just posting on social media about how unfair it all is doesn't change the code. Instead, this is about moving directly toward building functional open-source utilities. This blueprint is totally tactical. It's about creating tools that structurally disrupt the corporate model by targeting their legal, their economic, and their technical vulnerabilities.
To really understand how this works, here's our tactical mission briefing for the Explainer. We'll start with the overarching AI counteroffensive, then we'll break down the specific four-pronged plan for this decentralized pushback, covering system prompt leaks, model cloning, data sovereignty middleware, and local execution tools. Finally, we'll wrap up with the immediate next open-source move.
All right, Section 1. The AI counteroffensive, a blueprint for disruption.
The blueprint proposes a really clever four-pronged strategy. First up, you have asymmetric transparency, which deals with system prompt leaks. Next is high-fidelity replication, which is all about model cloning. Then client-side middleware to protect your data sovereignty. And finally, local execution to stop aggressive data harvesting. When you put them together, these four functional utilities create an active, community-driven framework that challenges the dominance of closed-source AI at literally every level of the tech stack. Which brings us to Section 2, leaking the secret sauce, otherwise known as asymmetric transparency. Now, what's really interesting about this first prong is that it attacks the very foundation of a corporate AI's unique personality. The idea is simple, but it's absolutely devastating to closed models. It is a synchronized community effort to instantly dump the system prompts and safety configurations of every single new model the moment it's released. Think about it. A tech giant spends millions fine-tuning the exact instructions that make their AI behave a certain way. By coordinating to extract and publish those instructions, the user base essentially open sources the corporate alignment strategy right out from under them. And the result? It literally erodes their competitive advantage in real time. By turning these highly guarded proprietary alignment instructions into open source templates, the open community neutralizes the walled garden's secret sauce almost immediately. The corporation just no longer has a monopoly on how to prompt an AI for optimal safety or tone because the community has already mapped it and shared it for free. Moving on to Section 3, cloning closed AI models through high-fidelity replication. The source material outlines what it calls a standardized to-do.md pipeline. This is a highly practical, reproducible methodology for cloning closed models. It breaks down into three very clear steps: dataset curation, synthetic generation, and defining training parameters. And the really clever part? It does this based entirely on analyzing the outputs from the closed model's own API. It basically gives the global developer community a clear checklist to crowdsource an equivalent open-weight alternative.
Just consider the massive economic contrast here. You have a multi-billion-dollar closed model suddenly competing against lean, open-weight counterparts, kind of like the architecture shifts we're currently seeing with Project Tapestry. If the developer community can systematically distill the capabilities of a massive, super expensive closed model into something lean and open that anyone can run on their own hardware, well, a massive shift occurs. The entire economic rationale for paying for expensive corporate APIs simply vanishes.
Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds, defending your data sovereignty using client-side middleware. Data sovereignty middleware operates strictly on the client side. We are talking about browser injections and extensions specifically designed to scrub your user data, anonymize your inputs, and mask the context of your requests. Now, why does this matter? Because tech giants use their user base as a free, continuous training loop to optimize their next iterations. By intercepting your traffic before it ever hits corporate servers, you stop that free labor pipeline dead in its tracks. The source sums it up beautifully with this incredibly powerful statement. This middleware cuts off the telemetry lifeblood these companies rely on. It's a structural disruption, for sure. Without the constant stream of free, high-quality human data to train on, the closed AI models lose their absolute primary engine for rapid, cheap improvement.
Section 5. Power to the local user. Anti-data harvesting.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is how this protects you from what's known as artificial token burning. This happens when corporate interfaces intentionally stretch out their responses or they pad tokens unnecessarily just to inflate your cloud compute bills. It's sneaky, right? But by running UI layer optimizations locally, users can strip away this padding and force the system to run efficiently. The impact of these local execution tools is really twofold. First, it protects local consumer privacy by keeping a lot more of the process directly on your own machine, and second, it directly hits the immediate revenue margins for the tech giants. When users prevent that artificial token burning, they stop overpaying for padded compute times. You are simultaneously defending your wallet and your privacy.
Finally, Section 6, the next open source move. Actionable next steps. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate goal of the blueprint. By combining those prompt leaks, the model cloning, data middleware, and local execution, this framework takes the raw enthusiasm of the open-weight movement and, as the source puts it, weaponizes it into an active, community-driven utility belt. This is no longer just a theory, folks. It is a cohesive toolkit waiting to be deployed by developers worldwide.
Which brings us to a final vital question posed by our source material today. If this blueprint is going to become an actionable open source repository right now, what is the first technical primitive the dev community should actually focus on? Do we start by standardizing the model cloning markdown specs to democratize the AI models themselves? Or do we prioritize building that browser layer anti-harvesting middleware to cut off the corporate data supply immediately? It's a strategic choice, and it's going to shape the whole next phase of tech development. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder exactly where this counteroffensive should strike first.